Mr. Pettis?
Okay, a question. Herschel asked a question. How is the Oklahoma City program, the $12 million program, how is it running besides out of money?
Well, here's the good news. As of July 17th, we haven't run out of money yet. Now, part of that's because we just occupied our space last week. We just got our
Right,
website up on Tuesday.
right,
As of
right.
the first 5 days, we had 500 online applications. What we are
How
doing with those
many?
applications, 500. They do not all
Okay,
qualify. We have people calling us from Duncan, Oklahoma. We can't help them unless they're in the eviction process. We have
right,
people
right.
who were in default before February 1. That does not qualify. So we are parsing out and prioritizing those claims. But this week we had our first 3 applications that got completed, went through the whole process, verified income documentation, all that, and they have been submitted to CFO so that we have the first ones up and running for payment. I completely agree with you. This is but a Band-Aid on a very large problem, and it's a conversation beyond this meeting, and it's one that we're having on a regular basis on Friday mornings and beyond. Is that the crisis is shining some real glaring light on some real problems and issues that need to be addressed with long-term strategic solution-based thinking. But for right now, we are doing acute help for acute needs with the limited resources we have as most effectively and efficiently as we can. And it's because of people like you all and the way that you're thinking that is allowing this to happen, and that everyone is coming to the table. It's truly a public-private partnership, and I really believe that is the key to the success.
Thank you. That's very good.
Thank you guys both. You really do a good job of explaining it. You obviously know much more about it than maybe anybody on this board besides Mr. Pettis knows. I don't mean to throw Herschel under the bus with me, but John is
Oh, yeah. Thanks, John. I mean, David.
John is certainly the
Well,
expert in this area.
the need is great, and I think once the community cares, you know, uh, start their marketing and their PR for this program, I think they're going to see the demand increase. I really think so.
Okay.
I'm just sorry it's not a bigger program than what it is, because I think we could go through millions and millions of dollars more.
Well, I'm sure every city in America wishes they had that right now.
And this is Teresa again. And so Herschel, I think you're right. But I love the way that you all are contemplating putting this together. And it could be, so in our agreement with the state, we have an initial allocation, but as we encounter the residents in need that fit within the eligibility requirements that the state has set, and we spend those dollars down, they have told us come back to them as we really begin to understand the need. And so to the agenda item issue, you know, I'm a open records, open meeting person, but so yes, you're limited to the amount that's listed on the agenda, but that doesn't mean that once we start working with the eligible residents that you all, as you define, that we can't report back to you with, this is the pace, this is about how quickly we're running through this. And so giving you the data to contemplate additional allocations for this use.
Thank you for that.
T. Rose, I got to ask you a question.
Okay.
With all the incorporated areas that we have in Oklahoma County, I mean, besides Oklahoma City, I mean, I understand now why John Pettis made the recommendation he did. I mean, heck, you look at just the Oklahoma City limits, which includes bukus of incorporated areas like War Acres, Bethany, Nichols Hills, Valley Brook. I mean, Scotts Mill, in Midwest City, Dell City. That's huge.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I'll tell you, thank you so much for having this conversation and the ability for us to be able to pull in support revenue for some of the people. A lot of people don't know if they live in Oklahoma City or, I mean, they don't know that when they're calling, particularly if they're in trauma. And so having some funds that we can deploy to support those residents would really be incredibly helpful. I've got probably 3 calls on my cell phone. My cell phone number has gotten out, and of people just saying, if you can't help me, where can I get help? So whatever you all decide, whatever eligibility you put together, it'll help the resource center be able to be responsive to a broader range of people. But Herschel, you're exactly right. There are a lot of people in the geographic area of the county that are not covered by Oklahoma City's support.
If I could chime in for just a second here, I'm going to have to ask a tough question of either Jared or Ed in a second, but I would preface it by saying Citizens Bank of Edmond, where I work at, our CEO Joe Castillo is partnered with Mark Cuban to offer a free PPP service. I'm not selling the bank. I'm just laying out that I mean, we're very focused and very involved on people that have been affected by the crisis. And I think this need is great. And I think we need to do something, but I've got to ask Jared or Ed. I mean, we can vote and do all we can today, but if I understand this correctly, we've got to go, this program, not us necessarily, has to be approved by the Board of County Commissioners and the Budget Board. And where do we stand on those two issues?
Yeah, I'll take that first, David. Is the reason why you're starting here with us is because it's the normal county process to receive a request, for funds or allocation from, in this case, a trust in which the county is a beneficiary. I'll tell you, there are some questions that others in the county, the 4 walls of the county building itself have on expenditure of funds and those kinds of things. As you know, public trusts are different creatures, than the statutory duties that the Board of County Commissioners have. And so we are trying to advance the conversation. Really, that's what we're doing, is we're trying to advance the conversation to the Budget Board and the Board of County Commissioners, to help others, within the county that are in crisis.
So is the
Have you
request
talked to any of the county commissioners, Jared?
I'm sorry, Herschel, what?
Have you talked to any of the county commissioners themselves?
I've had conversations with not a county commissioner in particular, but deputies of commissioner, who are, they see a need. They've gotten several requests, I think, in their office, and we're trying to formulate a solution to help some of those folks, within the county.
Well, we have, not to mention any names, but we have 2 very conservative county commissioners. Mm-hmm. And one of them, I'm his appointee. And I think, I won't mention who the other one is because that would give away who they are. But I only can speak for mine. But he's going to be a bit of a tough sell.
Well, okay, Herschel, I don't mean to cut you off, but number one, the $47 or the $49 million that the county has, one of the things at some point in time is that if they cannot spend that money by December 31st, it is gone. Yeah. And this $2 million will help not only spend the money, but serve a needed purpose. And I think once this program gets out in the outlining areas outside of Oklahoma City, I think that $2 million will really be used up before December 31st. And as far as accountability, the foundation has all the checks and balance from application to issuing of the checks down pat, and I don't think there's going to be a problem.
Well, you're
they
saying from
either they spend the money or it goes back.
at least one of the county commissioners wouldn't care. I'm being honest with you. One is on the borderline, and I know one would be in favor. But we got a lot of political views represented with our 3 county commissioners. Not even looking at the budget board when you pull all the others into the mix that represents the county. I don't think it's a slam dunk, is what I'm trying to tell you. Politically,
Well,
John,
I agree, but if there's something that I could do to, help in this process, I'm willing to do that. But the need is there. The real need is there. An example, at the end of this month, unless the federal government kicks back in, the eviction notices are going to swell up like nobody's business for non-payment of rent. And that's something that I didn't bring up. You've got some landlords that are carrying these people because, number one, the federal law says, if you've got anybody that's receiving assistance to any of your property, you can't serve them with an eviction notice on a unit that's not subsidized. So the county is going to be faced, that's another challenge. And why put these people in that position if there's a way to help them?
John, if I could interject for just a second, I mean, some of this is supposition on our part. And again, you know much, much more about this than I do. But I know at least my county commissioner feels like there is some other opportunities for people to get money from other sources. And I think we need to let folks like Jenny and Teresa and Jared and Ed work through that with the commissioners and the budget board. It's my understanding all we can do at this point is say we will do if those 2 entities pass this, and I don't know that there's much we can do past that. Is that a correct statement, Jared?
You are absolutely right, David. I mean, we can only, stand in the position that ultimately, if this is the desire of the commissioners and, everybody else, that, I mean, we stand ready to assist because housing is our deal. And that's, we are the public in Oklahoma County that's designated to administer those things. If it's the county's desire to allocate dollars, then we would be the ones that would stand ready to help administer and contract with the appropriate agencies to administer that program.
Okay. I think it's a reflection of our federal government right now. The Senate is opposed as written by the House. I think you're going to find some of that rub off right here locally, as opposed to what some people view and what other people don't view. And I think all politics is local, but I think making a good case and having a few people that are close to the commissioners sitting in on when you go to talk to them with Teresa or Jenny or whomever it is, that the person who's their appointee needs to be sitting right there with them because they've got some say with them. I know with my county commissioner, he listens to me, and because he's a friend, but he will listen to me. But I need a lot of reinforcement on the things that either Mr. Pettis or David or Teresa or Jenny or Jared know. I mean, I don't have any problem proposing something. I just need somebody there with me that can explain the details when he asks them. If I was answering questions, I could answer the question. But doing the initial layout proposal would be a little difficult for me with no more background or knowledge than I've learned today, which is a great deal for everybody here.
I think what would be helpful is that each one of us who are appointed by the county commissioner, if we would take the time to call them just one-on-one and explain to them how important it is to support this. I think if we
John,
did
I
it
think
individually,
you're fortunate. You have a county commissioner that gets it. Not David or I, neither one have county commissioners that quote get it.
well, we don't know if they're, well, you know,
John,
I think it would be worth a try. Yes.
John, I promise you, I've had those discussions, and I need
Me
folks
too.
like Teresa and Jenny to have those as well, because there are some conservative county commissioners, and I'm a conservative political person myself, that feel like there's other agencies out there that can meet the need, and that may or may not be true. I think we need to present them all the facts, and they're all three intelligent individuals, and on the budget board, there's several other intelligent individuals, and let them make those decisions. I'm all for trying to sell this, but I promise you, John, it's not going to be as easy as you think it is. Not with
No, it's not.
And Jenny, this is
But
Teresa.
I will say this: whatever I can do to help Miss Carl and Miss Crook to address this with any of the county commissioners, I'm willing to take the time to do it. And I'll just leave it up to them to let me know if I can help.
Thank you for that, John.
Yeah. And this is Teresa again. And so as I'm listening to this conversation, I think David and Herschel and everybody, you're exactly right. There is such a maze of support from existing to new, federal to local, that I can understand why there could be some misunderstanding or some lack of clarity about what is available and what is not available. And one of the really interesting parts of this project has been getting in touch with those organizations that provide those services, figuring out what they have, what they don't have, and really, because that's been part of our task in trying to maximize both the city and the state dollars. And so I feel like we have a little better handle on capacity, bandwidth, availability, and gaps as it comes to housing and utility assistance than previously might have been available. So we are more than happy to sit down and visit with anybody and share what we know, as well as the processes that we've put in place that are checks and balances to guarantee there's no duplication. So whatever, and I don't know who, Jenny and I are happy to go. I don't think that we're the right people to initiate and reach out to the commissioner. So I think we would look to one of you to reach out to us to set something up with your commissioner, and we would go and share all the information we have.
Ed, is that something you could take the lead
do that.
on? I mean, I'm happy to arrange anything we can with my commissioner, but Ed, if you could kind of be the central resource person that each of us could get information to, and you could reach out to Teresa and Jenny, that would I think make it easier for the three trustees to communicate with you, and then you communicate with Jared, Jenny, or Teresa as you need to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm
I agree.
happy to do whatever I can. Jared and I have been working on this in the background actually for almost a month. So anything that we can do in terms of perhaps the information packet, we can cobble together, and Jared and I can review it, and then we can forward it to each of you for further distribution.
Okay.
Well, I would
Jared,
like my comments, those 5 or 6 comments that I had, be considered in your in drafting up the presentation. I think that they're reasonable, and it's, you know, we're trying to help as many qualified people as many families that need the assistance,
John,
I
I'm
agree, John.
good with that. I mean, I think at this point, we've had lots of discussion and we probably need to vote on this and see if we have a quorum among this board to carry it forward for Jared and or Ed to take to the county commissioners and budget board. And I don't even know what order that goes in, guys. I mean, I'm going to rely on you for that.
Well, I
Well-
think I can help with that. I think we get a hold of our commissioners ourselves, appointees. I know that I've made a call, and I know, David, you've made a call, and not to be soft pedaling this, but John, you don't have the issue that we have. And I think, I don't mean this to sound terrible, but with at least a couple of these county commissioners, I think it's don't dazzle me with facts. So our problem is not going to be so much factual information. It's going to be the political muster that we have to, and they're all three brilliant people, but some have so strong a political conviction that they don't want anything. I mean, the less is better. So I just want to, I'm throwing that out there, and that's a political statement because I think I understand politics as well, if not better than anybody on this call. And it's real tough to turn a steamship around very quickly. Just making a comment.
I think that we've got to start somewhere, and
Sure.
I think approving this is the start. And as long as Ed, you know, just keeps us up to date on the status, I believe we'll get there.
Well, then with that, so that we can cut this conversation down, John, why don't I move that we accept the motion as spoken?
Okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So we approve that unanimously. And with that, Jared and Ed, I'm going to leave it up to you guys to let the appropriate folks know that we are willing to do our part if, number one, the county commissioners vote for it, and number two, the budget board approves it.
Will do. Absolutely, will do.
I mean, I think at this point, that's all we can do. And we are about housing, but as Herschel pointed out, we've got to make sure that whatever it takes to convince a county commissioner, and that's going to be different between a liberal one and a conservative one. And we've got a little bit of all the above on the board. You know, we need to do that because if they don't vote for it, all this has been for naught.
Well, we've got all three categories of county commissioners. We've got one that's really alt-right, we've got a conservative, and then we've got a liberal. So it's a combination. I mean, it's not just one or two. Then we've got three totally different human beings sitting on our board of county commissioners. This next thing we'll have to consider, and this is another meeting, another meeting with somebody. When we get to the budget board, are there 7 members, Jared, of the budget board? 7 or 8?
Yes, Herschel, I think there are 7. Yeah, it's several of the other, you know, elected officials besides the county commissioners.
County treasurer, county assessor, county clerk.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's politically where I can be a little helpful. I don't know how it is on the budget board. I've never had to face those guys. But at any length, if we are so fortunate to get it to the county commissioners, we'll have another set of issues facing us when we get to the budget board.
I think
Because
you're right.
everybody wants their fair share. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, I think that covers item 6. Is there anything, Ed or Jared, you need from us further to carry that to the next level? Besides getting with our county commissioners?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so that moves us on to item number 7, citizen participation. I don't know that we have anybody besides Jenny and Teresa that are in on the call, but I do appreciate all y'all's comments and your expertise, and the road you plowed ahead of all this is going to be a huge help to us as we try and get this done. So thank you for that.
Happy to help.
Do we have any other citizen participation?
My remarks I would conclude with is that when you talk to your county commissioners, be sure and tell them there's nothing in this for us. We're not making any money or anything on this. This is totally a service provision that we're doing.
Yeah, and I guess I would ask one question of Jenny or Teresa. I mean, obviously there's a cost to administrate this, and if my county commissioner says, well, out of every dollar, what goes in aid and what's covered in miscellaneous costs, what could I tell him? Because he'll probably ask that.
Right. And I want to say we had an initial. So Jared, remind me, but I think we talked about 5%, so 5 cents.
Yeah.
Out of every dollar would be administrative.
Yes.
Right.
So that's a pretty good pass through.
Yeah.
I would say.
Well, that's the lowest administrative cost I've ever heard.
And I do want to say, kind of going along that same, line is, Teresa spoke to the audit issue and Jenny spoke to the audit issue. And I'll tell you that is Ed and I's biggest concern as well. And so we're also trying to discuss, just kind of what additional processes, the county and the authority can take to really make sure if we were to ever draw an audit on these things, if the program got up and running, that we've got all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed, from that standpoint as well. So,
and
I can assure you that will be a question from a county commissioner without a doubt.
Yeah.
They will ask, if we end up on the front page of the Oklahoman or any other newspaper, you guys are finished.
Oh, hey, no kidding. And it wouldn't be at their hands. So from Communities Foundation of Oklahoma, what we have already done and committed to both the state and the city is we are commissioning with our auditors a separate audit of these funds. And our existing audit manager and firm, so our existing audit manager has done federal audits and has experience with the threshold of documentation, of backup information. And she has been involved with both my CPA and Jenny's CPA in setting up the processes. And is actually this week verifying now that we are up and running and we've done a few reviews and recommendations. She is reviewing those processes to verify that we're starting correctly. I don't want to get 30 days into this and have her look at it and say, no, you need to go back and recapture X documentation. So we are setting it up from the very beginning to meet the federal audit threshold.
Perfect.
Like I said, glad you guys are the experts.
Me too.
Anyone with anything else to bring up?
I'll just mention that I've already had preliminary discussions with our auditor as well. So that's out there.
Great.
Thank you, Ed. Well, if there's no other discussion, I'll accept a motion to adjourn at 3:16 p.m.
So moved.
And we're adjourned.
Thank you all
everybody.
very
Be
much.
safe.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Ed.
Yeah,
Great to be with you all.
sure.
Thanks, Jared.
John,
Thank
you. Okay, Mark.
David, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all very
Mr.
much.
Pettis, Mr. Leverin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Teresa, are you still on? No, she must
Thank
be
you,
off.
Bob and Stacy.